Have you ever wondered what you'd do if your boss disguised themselves to see your true colors? At Cozy Bites, that's exactly what happened, and the story that unfolded is one you won't forget. It's a tale about kindness, justice, and the unexpected lessons life throws our way. One young waiter, unknowingly faced with a test of character, chose compassion when it mattered most. Little did he know, his simple act of kindness would change his life forever. Curious to know how? Stick around, because this story holds powerful lessons about fairness and humanity you won't want to miss. Welcome to Cozy Bites, a warm and bustling family restaurant owned by Gerald Smith, a man deeply committed to kindness and fairness. Known for treating his customers and employees like family, Gerald had always believed in creating a place where everyone felt valued. But lately, he couldn't shake a growing concern. How were his staff treating those who were less fortunate? Were they embodying the values he held dear? Determined to find out, Gerald came up with a bold and unconventional plan. He would disguise himself as a poor beggar and walk into his own restaurant, observing firsthand how his workers treated someone who appeared down on their luck. It wasn't just a test of their professionalism, it was a test of their humanity. The plan took shape with incredible attention to detail. Gerald ordered a realistic mask that added years to his face, transforming him into an unrecognizable figure. He put on torn, weathered clothes and found an old, broken walking stick to complete the look. The visuals were striking. Gerald hunched over in his disguise, practicing the shuffle of a man in need. He was ready to step into a different world and uncover the truth about his team, and what he would discover would surprise everyone. The doors of Cozy Bites creaked open, and Gerald shuffled in, disguised as a frail beggar. His tattered clothes and broken walking stick made him look completely out of place in the lively restaurant. At first, the staff barely noticed him, too busy serving customers and chatting among themselves. But as Gerald approached the counter, all eyes turned toward him. Greg, the manager, was the first to react. With a scornful glance, he stepped forward and barked, "This is a restaurant, not a charity. If you're not ordering, you need to leave." His sharp tone cut through the room, and the other staff exchanged awkward glances, unsure of what to do. Gerald, playing his role, looked down and muttered an apology, his voice trembling, but not everyone turned a blind eye. Ben, a young waiter working quietly in the background, couldn't ignore the scene. While Greg's back was turned, Ben slipped into the kitchen and quickly prepared a sandwich. Wrapping it in a napkin, he approached Gerald discreetly. "Here," he whispered, placing the sandwich in Gerald's hand. "You look like you need this more than anyone." The moment was powerful, and the stark contrast between Greg's cruelty and Ben's compassion was impossible to miss. Suspenseful music played in the background as the visuals shifted between Greg's disdainful scowl and Ben's small but meaningful act of kindness. Little did Ben know, this simple gesture would soon change the course of his life forever. As Gerald sat quietly in a corner of Cozy Bites, nibbling on the sandwich Ben had secretly given him, Greg's temper flared. Noticing Gerald was still there, Greg stormed over, his voice loud enough for the entire restaurant to hear. "Didn't I tell you to leave? We don't serve freeloaders here. If you don't get out now, I'll call the cops." His harsh words echoed through the room, making customers uncomfortable and leaving the staff uneasy. Gerald, still in his beggar disguise, remained calm, offering only an apologetic nod. But inside, his heart sank. He had trusted Greg to lead by example, to uphold the values of kindness and fairness he had built Cozy Bites on. Now, watching Greg humiliate someone who appeared to be in need, Gerald felt a deep sense of disappointment. Meanwhile, Ben continued to act in quiet defiance of Greg's cruelty. Each time Greg turned his back, Ben found ways to help. He brought a cup of water, slipped Gerald another small plate of food, and even offered a kind word. Ben didn't expect recognition or gratitude. He simply couldn't stand by and watch someone be treated so poorly. His compassion shone through, even in the face of Greg's scornful glares. The tension in the room grew with every passing moment. Gerald observed it all, his emotions a mix of sadness and admiration. Sadness for Greg's lack of empathy and the way he abused his authority. Admiration for Ben's quiet bravery, his willingness to do the right thing even when it wasn't easy. As the atmosphere thickened, one question lingered in Gerald's mind. How should he respond to this stark contrast in character? Should he confront Greg and expose his behavior? Or should he wait and reward Ben for his kindness? The answers would soon unfold in a way no one at Cozy Bites expected, leaving a lasting impact on everyone involved. The next day, Gerald walked into Cozy Bites, but this time, there was no tattered disguise or broken walking stick. Dressed in a sharp suit with his usual air of quiet authority, he was a stark contrast to the ragged beggar he had portrayed the day before. The staff immediately perked up at the sight of their confident boss, their attitudes shifting to polite professionalism. Greg, in particular, seemed to undergo a complete transformation. His scornful demeanor from the previous day was replaced with an exaggerated smile. "Mr. Smith, what a surprise! Is there anything I can get for you?" he said, his voice dripping with fake enthusiasm. Gerald gave a polite nod but wasted no time in gathering the entire staff in the dining area. Standing at the center of the room, he cleared his throat and began, his tone calm but firm. "I want to share something with you all. Yesterday, I came into this restaurant, not as your boss, but as someone in need. I was disguised as a beggar, observing how each of you treated me when you thought no one was watching." A stunned silence fell over the room as his words sank in. Eyes widened, and whispers broke out among the staff. Greg's face flushed as he shifted uncomfortably, avoiding Gerald's gaze. Meanwhile, Ben stood frozen, a mixture of surprise and confusion on his face. "I saw everything," Gerald continued, his voice steady, but laced with emotion. "I saw who treated me with kindness and who did not. And I'll be honest, some of what I witnessed left me deeply disappointed." He paused, his gaze landing squarely on Greg, who looked like he wanted to disappear. "But I also saw something that gave me hope, someone who acted with compassion, even when it wasn't easy." The room buzzed with tension as Gerald prepared to reveal what would happen next, and everyone waited with bated breath for his final words. Gerald let the silence linger for a moment, his gaze sweeping across the room before landing firmly on Greg. "Let me start with this," he said, his tone sharp but controlled. "Greg, your behavior yesterday was unacceptable. Humiliating someone who appeared to be in need, threatening to call the police, and treating this restaurant like it's beneath the values it was built on. That's not leadership. That's cruelty." Greg's face turned beet red as he stammered, I didn't know." But Gerald raised a hand to stop him. "Exactly. You didn't know. And that's the problem. You treated someone poorly because you assumed they didn't matter. But here, at Cozy Bites, everyone matters." The room was thick with tension as Gerald turned his attention to Ben. "And then there's Ben," he said, his voice softening. "Ben, when no one was watching, when it wasn't easy, you chose kindness. You gave me food, treated me with respect, and reminded me what this place is supposed to stand for. That is true leadership." Ben's eyes widened in shock. "I was just doing what I thought was right," he said, his voice trembling. "And that's exactly why I'm promoting you to restaurant manager," Gerald announced, a proud smile breaking across his face. The room erupted in a mix of gasps and applause. Ben stood frozen, his face a mix of disbelief and gratitude. "Thank you, Mr. Smith," I don't know what to say, except thank you. As for Greg, he looked down, his regret palpable. He mumbled a half-hearted apology, but the damage was done. The other staff exchanged knowing looks, some shocked, others nodding in approval of Gerald's decision. I hope this is a lesson for all of us, Gerald concluded. Kindness and respect should never be optional. They're the foundation of this restaurant and of life. With that, the team was left reflecting on the day's events, knowing that things at Cozy Bites would never be the same again. Gerald stood in front of his staff, his voice steady and filled with conviction. Kindness and respect are the foundation of this restaurant, and that's what I want reflected in my staff. It's not just about serving food, it's about serving humanity. What you do here matters, not just to the customers, but to who you are as people. He paused, letting his words sink in. Turning to address everyone, he continued, Yesterday taught me something important. Acts of kindness, no matter how small, have the power to change lives. Ben's simple gesture of compassion didn't just help someone in need, it revealed the kind of leader he truly is. On the other hand, cruelty and neglect, like what I saw from Greg, don't go unnoticed either. They carry consequences. Gerald's gaze shifted to the camera, speaking directly to the audience now. This isn't just about a restaurant, it's about life. Every small act of kindness matters. You never know who's watching, who's listening, or whose life you might change with a simple gesture of goodwill. So be kind, lead with empathy, and remember, the rewards of kindness often come when you least expect them. As Gerald's words hung in the air, the staff nodded in agreement, and Ben, still overwhelmed, received a round of supportive applause from his co-workers. It was a moment of transformation, not just for Cozy Bites, but for everyone who witnessed the power of kindness firsthand. If you enjoyed this story and its powerful message about kindness and respect, don't forget to like the video. It really helps us out. Share it with your friends and family to spread the word about how small acts of compassion can make a big difference. And if you'd love to see more inspiring stories like this one, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and remember, kindness always wins.